Women from all walks of life came out in support of this program, and they had their personal reasons for taking part in the march.
I'm here because I feel like it's one of the most pertinent issues today. I feel like almost every woman or gender non-conforming person in this world has had some kind of incident happen to them. I've had it. I've had it when I was 18, when I was 17, and my mother's had it, my sister's had it. It's intergenerational and it's intersectional, and it needs to stop.
Even political parties had their women taking part in this plead for urgent action against increasing femicide cases.
Point about in order to tackle gender-based violence, it requires a whole of society approach. So it requires the involvement of communities. If a community knows there's a man who abuses his wife, that community must take action and report that person to the police. And in fact, I think this march needed more men here, because it's always women talking to each other about women's issues and gender-based violence, when the conversation needs to be happening with men. So we'd like to see men far involved in marches like this, in tackling issues of gender-based violence, because they're often the perpetrators. So they need to unlearn skills of patriarchy, unlearn lessons of, feeling better and stronger and feeling that they can abuse women. So men need to be intrinsically involved in all these conversations. They must actually, in fact, lead some of those conversations themselves. We'd like to see a men's march against gender-based violence, where men come together and say, we have listened to what women have said, and we, as men, are going to take action.
And to discuss the significance of today's march against gender-based violence, we're joined in studio by Commissioner at Commission for Gender Equality, Tamara Matebula, the I Matter coach and activist against gender-based violence, Natalie Danster-Abrams, and the founder of Get Up Women NPC organization, Gigi White. Over the phone line, we'll be joined by a gender activist, Nsiki Skosana. A very good evening to you all, ladies, and happy Women's Month.
Thank you.
Hello. Let me start perhaps with you, Tamara, since you actually attended a march that took place today. Talk to us about that march and what transpired.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and inviting me over. The march started at the Constitutional Hill, which is a historic place where it's a women's jail. Women were detained in that jail previously, so we decided that the march for the ANC Women's League Young Women's Desk will start at the Constitutional Hill at the women's jail. And it proceeded to the city center, and it went to Lutuli House, which is the ANC headquarters. And it was one of the most peaceful marches. And at the Lutuli House, we observed the 15 minutes of silence, because we were remembering a lot of women who suffered fighting for apartheid regime, but also women who are being killed by their partners, which is called femicides. But also we were talking about, making sure that we fight for gender-based violence to stop. And women were clear and were saying enough is enough. And again, it was not just only women who marched. There were some men who also joined the march, because we knew that we cannot only address the issues of gender-based violence, leaving men behind, because we know that men are perpetrators and women are victims. So we need to speak to everyone. And if we talk about gender-based violence, we talk about both male and female. So it was quite clear, and the Memorandum of Understanding was handed over to the Secretary General of the ANC in a peaceful way.
Well, Gigi, let me come to you. Gigi, if you can just talk to us about, every time we get to the month of August, talking about Women's Month and awareness against gender-based violence, awareness against child abuse, awareness against women abuse, what exactly should the viewers be aware about regarding this type of abuse?
I think at the moment, hashtags like Me Too complicated things for us, because I don't think our service delivery can keep up. So I think what's happening is more women are speaking out. They have the courage to speak out. They're being told on social media, it's okay, you can speak out, get up, let your voice be heard. But then when it comes to service delivery, to actually pick us up and assist us to get our cases open, be heard in court, get cases to follow through in court, we're struggling. And it's getting tougher.
So more needs to be done on the government side. Natalie, you actually have a story about a woman whose case is actually still before the courts.
Absolutely. You know, this is a young lady that was shot and killed in March this year, and she was shot 7 times in public, just a few meters away from her mother's house. And we were in court yesterday. So the judge saying we are waiting the outcome of the investigation from the investigating officer. And what was very disheartening was that the judge actually went so far as to say to the state prosecutor that it is unfair that this poor soul has to sit in jail while the state is delaying the outcome of the investigation, while this woman, daughter, mother, sister, friend, is never coming back. She was shot 7 times, and her children, you know, yesterday morning when I went to her mom's house and her 3-year-old daughter saw me wearing this T-shirt, she said to me, "Are you going to fetch mommy today?" And when I picked her up from school afterwards with her grandmother, she asked me, "Where's mommy?" So, you know, what message is our justice system sending to people? I believe that the conversation that the judge had with the prosecutor led to him asking for bail. And on Tuesday, the 7th of August, there's going to be a formal bail hearing at the Palm Ridge Court, because I believe that the judge actually, he instigated, you know, this I want bail now. And yes, we forgive and we believe that, you know, people reform, but where is the justice for her? Where's the justice for her family? Where is the justice for all the other women out there in South Africa that have been murdered at the hands of those who claim to love them?
And Sekina, you are yourself a gender activist. Talk to us about the significance of this march that took place today, especially at the beginning of a Women's Month.
One of the biggest things that we wanted to push with this march was, you know, the intersectionality of it all, because so often we have marches and discussions about gender-based violence, but we never include the most marginalized groups, which are transgender women and gender-conforming people. And so one of the biggest significance about this march was the intersectionality of it all, how women across the board, trans and cis, coming together with gender-conforming people to march against a scourge of violence that affects us day in and day out, all of us equally. You know, and I heard you at the beginning when you were talking about the statistics, you know, about how many women have been killed or are killed in South Africa. And ironically enough, you'll find that those statistics don't include transgender women. That's the sad reality that we live in this country. And that's something we want changed. That's something we want different. We want trans people to be recognized as humans and to be treated with the dignity that we deserve. So the significance of this march was also to bring light to that reality, and I'm so proud of all the women who came out in numbers today and gender-conforming people to march and call government to action. And one of the biggest things, the reasons why we chose men not to be on the ground with us today was because, yes, it's important that men march against gender-based violence. Yes, it's important that men are included in this discussion. But the biggest thing we were trying to push was that men are our perpetrators. Men are the ones who are abusing us. So we don't see the point of having the very same perpetrators on the ground with us, triggering us, you know, because a lot of those women and gender-conforming people on the ground have been abused themselves. And so to have your abuser on the ground with you, I mean, that can only be a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Just come back to studio. Gigi, we talk about Women's Month, and it's just 1 month in a year that has 12 months. What is being done the other 11 months of the year?
That is a question we all have. I think it's probably the most frustrating part. The spotlight only happens in August. Mm-hmm. But we are dealing with cases weekly, daily, hourly. I suppose it's the rest of us organizations that are picking it up for the rest of the year.
And what actually are some of the campaigns that you are working on as an organization, you know, to actually help women out there who have these cases that need to be dealt with?
Yeah, one of our main pillars, if you want to call it, we're actually starting to support women in court. So we're gathering as many women as possible for the different areas. Mm-hmm. You know, just to make sure that when they go up in court, they're not alone. You know, put a little shirt on, sit with her. When the perpetrator does come out and he glares at her, at least she doesn't feel like she's doing it on her own.
Yes.
So we've been pushing for a lot of court support lately.
And the activities that you've been involved in this year?
I believe in empowering the women and getting them to actually speak out. I find that there are still a lot of women out there that are afraid to speak out. I deal with a lot of women in leadership, and especially in the church, and there's a lot of shame and embarrassment, and people are just afraid to speak up. People are afraid to speak up because, point number one, they're going to be judged, and point number two, they're afraid of what's going to happen when they speak up. So we as women, and we as leaders, and we as business people need to make sure that these women know that they have a support structure that's going to be there. When they take that first step and they decide to speak up, we are going to be there throughout the process. And that is what I get involved in. I make sure that the women have a confidant, they have a friend, and they have somebody that's going to stay there. Whether or not your life's going to be in danger, you are going to run the course with them.
And tomorrow, some of the other activities that the Women's League will be getting involved in, not only in this month of August, but throughout the rest of the year. Can you just talk us through them?
Thank you very much. I think the Women's League of the ANC, including the Commission for Gender Equality, are having a campaign that is currently run, and it's called 365 Days. Because again, what we were looking at is that gender-based violence happens every day. So it cannot be that, we have an event today, a big event, and we raise awareness, and we leave it there. And at some point, we were also, as you know, we also run what we call 16 days of activism. But we felt that those 16 days of activism, which are about raising awareness, are not enough. So we thought that let's push the agenda of raising awareness every day, 365 days of the year, pushing and making sure that we raise awareness. We go to colleges, we go to schools, we go to churches, we go everywhere to raise this awareness about gender-based violence, because we know that where we can find people, whether young or old people, gender-based violence is happening across the board. The second thing that we do as the Commission for Gender Equality is that we're handling complaints. So we are the first point of entry. So first complaints, when women feel that they are abused, they phone our numbers. They know the numbers to phone. We are on Twitter, we are on social media, so they contact us. So we are the first point of call.
Which is just for the benefit of our viewers who are not aware of your phone numbers. If you can give them your phone numbers, your Twitter handle,
Yes.
an email address, and they can just
Yes.
jot it down if they might need to actually contact you.
Okay. I will do that at the end. And the second thing that we do, we handle cases ourselves at, first point. We do handle cases. And if we feel that they have nothing to do with gender-based violence, it's a pure human rights violation, we will then refer to South African Human Rights Commission, for an example, but we refer across the Chapter 9 institutions. And the second thing that we also do is to make sure that we go to court with women and we become friends of the court as the Women's League, as the Commission for Gender Equality. I'm sure in many court cases, I may not mention all of them, we have seen so many women wearing green blouses and sitting there quietly and supporting that particular woman, whether black or white or green, but we will always be there as the Women's League as well as the Commission for Gender Equality. We commission research because we need to understand issues on the ground as well. Why gender-based violence is not abating. Because again, it's been years that we are having so much scourge in South Africa. And again, it has reached, these unacceptable levels. And again, not only unacceptable, but we see that, the face and the form of gender-based violence has changed. It's no longer about abusing women sexually, socially, physically, and all of that. But it's about killing women. It's about doing, terrible things to women. And these are some of the things that we are saying, let's research. Let's understand why so much anger towards women in South Africa. And when we commission this research, we are able to develop programs and work with NGOs or civil society organizations to say, here is information that informs us how to respond with evidence that we have found on the ground. Because we cannot, we cannot use one size fit all. The form and shape has changed. So we need to understand how we program around it. Thank you very much.
And Siki, can you just talk to us about some of the activities you'll be getting involved in throughout this month and the rest of the year?
Some of the activities, well, we're hoping for an Indaba to come up, first of all. so that we can have actual conversations about towards changing how the country is right now towards femicide. We're also hoping to just get some programs going where women can come together and have conversations and discussions around gender-based violence and discussions about intersectionality. Specifically, we want women to come together and hold dialogues with men. That's one of the things that we're hoping to achieve in this month, because one of the most important things, obviously, is having the dialogue with men and having the conversation as to what needs to be done for men to actually start changing. Because it's not enough to just hold men accountable. Men need to start doing the actual work, and unfortunately, they're not going to do it on their own, so they're going to need us to nudge them. Those are just some of the things we're hoping to get done this month and moving forward, actually, because this is not just a one-off thing. We're really hoping to continuously hold government accountable, hold men accountable, hold society accountable for not only the gender-based violence they perpetuate that we know of, but the erasure of a group of people in society that is always ignored, which are trans and gender-conforming people.
I just want to give our viewers a chance then to get in touch with the different organizations, as you've mentioned, the different work that you actually all do. I'll start with you, Gigi, whether it's a social media platform that they can reach out to you on. Where can they find you?
We are very active on Facebook. Our group is called Get Up Women NPC. Twitter, Get Up Women. Instagram, Get Up Women. Yeah, our website is www.getupwomen.co.za. Details are there as well.
And Natalie?
I'm also on Facebook, so they can find me, I Matter, Natalie Danster Abrams, and my website is www.i-matter.co.za, and I am on Instagram and Twitter as well.
All right. And Tamara?
We have a toll-free line for complaints. People, if they want to lodge complaints, it's 0800 0079 071.
Right.
And again, if you want to go on to, we are also on Twitter, which is cge.org.za, and our website is www.cge.org.za.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Nsiki, if you can just give our viewers your contact details if they want to get involved with your activities.
You can go to our Facebook group, which is The Total Shutdown, and we also have a page of the same name, where you can follow us on Twitter at Women Protest SA, and we also have a website, www.thetotalshutdown.org.za.
Thank you very much to you, and thank you very much to all of our esteemed panelists. As you've heard it for yourself, the contact details are out there for you if you need help in any way, shape or form. Assistance is always available. Don't wait until you land in hospital or even worse, end up in a grave.